This is Mongolian beef served with white rice. Came out quite spectacular, if I don't mind saying. Watch how I do it. Okay, one of the keys to a good Mongolian beef is that you have to cut it thinly and you have to cut it against the grain. So here I have 1.5 pounds of flank steak. You can use any steak you like. Flank seems to be the most common. Flank or skirt. Okay, here's a great tip. I'm going to tell you right now. Look how stiff this is. I put that in the freezer for about a half hour, and that's just going to make it so much easier to cut. And there's no problem because after it's cut it'll thaw out very quickly. Okay, the grain is running this way, lengthwise. Okay, I'm going to cut it against the grain at a bias. That's a fancy word for angle. See how nice and thin that is? That's less than 1/8 of an inch. Make sure you have a sharp knife. That's another tip. Look at that. That is just going to melt in your mouth. Or in my case, my mouth. Beautiful. This is a meal that I've been perfecting. I seem to enjoy it. It's nice and hot and spicy. I love hot and spicy. Mongolian beef. Does this recipe even exist in Mongolia? I don't know. It's like spaghetti and meatballs. If you go to Italy and ask for spaghetti and meatballs, they're not going to know what the hell you're talking about. That is not an Italian dish. Okay, folks, I'm just going to continue to slice this thinly, and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, I have my flank steak cut into nice thin pieces here, and I only used 1/2 of the 1.5 pounds of the beef because I'm only cooking for myself this evening. Okay, the next step is to apply the cornstarch. Cornstarch is not a healthy food. Chinese food is not healthy. At least Chinese American food is not healthy. This is not the health channel tonight. Okay, I'm going to drop it into the cornstarch. Coat it all up. I did measure it. That's about a 1/3 of a cup though. This is what's going to give it a nice coating. I'm going to go ahead and add some sea salt. I want to make sure it's all thoroughly coated. Coated, not COVID. Okay, I'm going to put this back in the fridge for about 15-20 minutes. This way the cornstarch will absorb into the meat, because if I was to saute it now, the cornstarch would more than likely fall off the beef. Okay, the meat is in the fridge. I'm going to start my sauce now. The sauce is the key component of Mongolian beef. Going to start out with some Hoisen sauce. This is a sweet sauce made from plums. A good 2 tablespoonsful. Next thing I'm going to add is regular Kikkoman soy sauce. A good tablespoon will do. I'm not measuring this stuff out, folks. I'm just eyeballing it. Okay, next thing I'm going to add is some Sambal Oelek. This is a chili paste, ground chili paste, Chinese style, of course. This is Mongolian beef. It's supposed to be spicy. Okay, a good tablespoon and a half anyway. I'm not counting, folks. Okay, next thing I'm going to add is some fish sauce. Fish sauce? This guy must be crazy. Okay, if you're not familiar with fish sauce, this is sauce that is made from fermented, disgusting, vile fish. But you know what? When you use it properly in Chinese food, it blends in really well. You can use this with fish, of course, chicken, beef, anything Chinese. Tablespoonful. This stuff is so potent. This stuff is unbelievable. But it blends so well. Okay. I have some honey here. Most recipes call for brown sugar, which I don't have. I'm not going to buy a huge bag of brown sugar just to make this one meal. You can use white sugar, which is disgusting. So I'm going to add some honey. Good 2 tablespoons full. Next thing I'm going to add is some chicken stock. Rachel Ray, she's really Chinese, huh? Okay, I wish I had some beef stock, but I don't have beef stock. This is the next closest thing I have. I don't want to use water. Good 3 tablespoons. Why would you want to use water? Water has 0 flavor. Okay, I'm going to mix this up and just keep it aside. This smells so good. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is prep my vegetables. These are the vegetables that I'll be using. A yellow onion. I'm going to use the whole thing. Garlic. Just a few pieces, a few cloves. And some ginger. Not the whole thing. Just a teaspoon or so. Now these 3 vegetables right here are like the 3 most healthiest vegetables in the world. They have medicinal value. They're very good. They have antioxidant, anti-inflammatory qualities. So hopefully that will outweigh the negative part of the starch. Okay, I'm going to cut these into small pieces, the onions, and then I'm going to mince a few cloves and some of the ginger. Okay, here's my onion, chopped into smallish pieces. I have a whole bunch of garlic here. It's quite a lot, but I'm in the mood for garlic. And I have some grated ginger. This is looking so good. This is smelling so great. The next thing I'm going to do is cook the beef. Where's the beef?
When you drive to Wendy's and order a single, you get more beef than the Whopper or the Big Mac. At Wendy's, you never have to ask, where's the beef?
The beef is right here, Grandma. Now, if you can identify with that commercial, you're about as old as I am. Okay, got a nice hot pan here. I'll lay these beef strips down. This is a big pan. Now I don't want to overcrowd the pan, because if you overcrowd the pan, the steak or the beef will steam. It's not going to get a good char on it. I want to get a good char on it. If I have to do this several times, it's not a problem. Don't you love that sound though? That's food. That's food cooking right there. Mongolian beef. It's what's for dinner. Okay, I forgot to mention, this is being sauteed in a combination of grapeseed oil and sesame oil, which is quite spicy. This is a spicy dish. Okay, I took the beef off. Nice and crispy. Pan is still hot. Going to add a little grapeseed oil. Onions in. I'm going to caramelize these, which means I'm going to make them nice and brown. That'll bring out the sweetness of the onions, and then sorry. Then I'm going to add the ginger and garlic mix along with the sauce, and then reintroduce the beef. Okay, those onions have a nice little burn to them. That pan is very hot. Garlic in. Ginger in. This will only take about 30 seconds. The last thing you want is burnt garlic. Okay, I'm going to reintroduce my beef. And then at the same time, I'm going to put my sauce in there. Everything is pretty much cooked. The next thing I'm going to do is add my green onions. green onions in. Just gonna let this cook down a little bit. Everything is cooked, so I'm just basically reheating stuff. Okay, this meal is done, and so am I.